Jace Lejeune from Gridiron Football. We're here at Gridiron Football Media Days, our third annual Gridiron Football Media Day, here with Coach Steve Soper. Coach, appreciate your coming, bringing your guys once again. Looking forward to talk to you about the upcoming season. Coach, before we talk about, maybe not too much from 2024, but obviously y'all did win a playoff game, so that was big against St. Michael's. So talk about last season before we set the stage for 2025.
So last year, was kind of in between that transition, just trying to, it's not just from a football aspect, from also conditioning, just logistic stuff in general. So, it was kind of a big introduction for everybody, new scheme on offense, new scheme on defense, kind of getting all the guys on page. I thought we really started to gel and make some progress towards the end. It's one of those things, progress is never as fast as you want it, but, and it was there. I think, the last half of the season, we really kind of started to work a little better, did some things a lot better, a little bit more efficient on either side of the ball, and gained some momentum going, into the postseason, got that first round playoff win, which is big, and kind of a good bridge and a good jump off point into the next year.
Yeah, some momentum going into 2025 for sure with a playoff win. And talk about 2025, what kind of overall team we should expect this year?
So I think, I think we should be a disciplined group, aggressive guys are going to fly around to the football. I think just knowing, again, that second year, going to have a better understanding of the way things are working, and it's not so much an introduction, it's more of kind of, this is how we do things, a normal routine, which I think is big for us.
Absolutely. I know you brought a couple of guys with you today, 4 guys with you to our media day. Talk about these 4 guys and why they represent your program so well.
So the first 2 guys defensively, we have Keaton Wheeler, who's a DB for us, and also Grayson Dupree, who's a linebacker for us. Both, 3-year players for us, good, hard-nosed kids, students of the game. Just do things the right way on and off the field, and looking for those 2 guys to do some big things for us this year. On the other side, we have Elijah Williamson as offensive lineman for us, and then also David Chimento as a receiver for us. Again, one of those guys. The good thing about it, the bad thing for us the past couple of years, is that we've had a lot to lean on some younger guys. And these are, not only the 2 guys on offense, but these 4 guys are guys who we've leaned on for the past 3 years, and we're going to continue to do that going into this fall season.
Absolutely, Coach. I know you have to replace a really good wide receiver from last year for sure. And let's talk about the offensive side of the football and how's that looking now.
So offensively, quarterback, receivers, we lost a few guys. We only lost 1 offensive lineman. We got a good core coming back. Obviously, between Brody Smith and Hayden Alonso, we've got some holes to fill. But I think, our guys have been doing it well the past off season, really making good strides, and just an overall knowledge. What I think we kind of will lack as far as that goes, I think we'll make up for as a whole, and I think we've got all the pieces to fit in to kind of fill in for that group.
And the defensive side of the football, what should we expect?
So defensively, losing a few, defensive linemen. The back end of our defense is pretty much intact. Linebackers-wise, we got a few holes to fill. But, again, we've approached the offseason really well. I think we have a better overall understanding of the way things work, and we'll still have, 11 guys flying around, knowing what's going on and playing aggressive.
And I know you mentioned these guys earlier. Who are some other names maybe we should keep an eye out on this year that weren't here today?
So, on the defensive side of the ball, we got a few defensive linemen. Liam Benton's going to be big. Also secondary-wise, Carson Wallace and Paul Hoyt are guys that are coming back for us that are going to do some good things. Offensively, our 4 offensive linemen that are coming back are solid for us. Jude Monier, Max Hand, Brennan Gerald, along with Elijah coming back. Riley Jones is a running back. Braden Sprang is going to take over for at quarterback. Receiver-wise, coming with, back with David is big. And also Hunter Lay is another returner for us that's going to do some good things for us as well.
Special teams, any updates there you want to give?
Special teams-wise, so again, Grayson Dupree is going to handle the punting for us. We have Armani Reyes is going to come out and kick for us. He was a soccer guy last year that's coming out this year. So, he's kind of a work in progress for right now. But, special teams-wise, I think, we're pretty solid there.
Yeah, Coach, and talk about the upcoming schedule this year for y'all.
So schedule-wise, again, I think, last year our non-district, I think, was a combined 30-2, 30-3 last year. So we really had a tough non-district schedule, which is a good thing. We got quality teams spread around a few places, making a trip to Lafayette, New Roads, and then of course, our district schedule is, athletic, well-coached, tough kids. Good teams, with Lakeshore and Franklinton making that deep run in the playoffs. Our non-district schedule does a great job of getting us ready for district, and district is we know what it is.
Right,
so
right.
We're going to have our work cut out for us.
And Coach, finally, my last question would be just the upcoming season. Why should fans be excited about this year's team?
I think we have, a solid group. Our numbers are growing. Kids are bought in, and I think, again, we're going to put an exciting brand of football out there.
Absolutely, Coach. Coach, always a pleasure catching up with you about the Hawks, looking for big things. Here's our magazine as well, on us as well. In the next magazine, we'll have the in-depth season preview on Archbishop Hannan. So for all the Hawks fans out there, get your football fix. Make sure to go to our website to order our next magazine edition. That's gridironfootballusa.com.